session. Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the session. We will now proceed. So today's session will be delivered by Jocelyn. Just to do some quick introductions first of all. Okay. Oops. Excuse me a minute while I just screen share. Oh, strange. I'm having a problem with my PowerPoint. Bear with me 1 minute. Apologies.
Just getting my
Okay, I should now be able to share. Okay, so today's session is on proactive aging, and we've got Jocelyn who will be delivering the session today. My name is Zen Khan, and I'm the managing partner and founder of Zen Professional Development and Education First Recruitment, and I support individuals and organizations with training and development to upskill and enhance existing qualifications and the CV. Over to you, Laura.
Hello, Laura Everest, and I am a Master of Resilience and a Gallup Strengths Coach, and what I really am doing is helping organizations and individuals to adapt and thrive in today's demanding, scary business environment. So programs, do a lot of speaking, that's my key thing, and obviously doing corporate style training and coaching too. So that's me. Are we going to share?
Yep, so over to Joyce, and then we'll go with Neelam, Mandy, and Rosa.
Hi, my name's Jocelyn, and I live in LA currently, and I am working for Learning A to Z as a professional trainer. That's contracting, so it's not full-time. And also I have a platform for women and aging, so that's kind of my niche, and I'm very happy to be here today to kind of visit with you guys about my experience and what I've learned.
Thank you, Joyce. Neelam?
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Neelam Bhatti. I'm a head of a primary school in the UAE in Sharjah, and I look after quite a lot of well-being as well for staff, which is why I join these sessions to sort of benefit from everybody. And it's great to be here every couple of weeks to get that advice and that support from you ladies. So I enjoy all the sessions.
Thank you, Neelam. Mandy?
Good morning, everybody. So I'm Mandy, and I am General Director of Pixel Roses. We're a photography and makeup company specializing in corporate photography, so branding your profile pictures to update any LinkedIn profile pictures, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, all the rest of that. And I'm just really glad to be connecting with all you lovely ladies this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rosa?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me today. Yes, my name is Rosa, and I'm the founder of Associate. We're a PR and marketing agency based in Dubai with a small footprint in the UK as well, which should be a little bit further on by now, but COVID hit, so hey ho. We're driven by tailor-made solutions, and that has been incredibly important, even more so this year. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I can kind of give back to you all as well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Rosa. And we've had Nidhi, who's joined us. I think she joined and then she's exited again. So let me just let her back in. Okay. Okay, I think she's exited. So thank you for that introduction, ladies. It's lovely to have you on board. I'm now just going to go over a few housekeeping rules. Okay, well, first of all, before I go to that, if you can write down the names of 2 people who could benefit from joining the Pushing the Boundaries session and just type them into the chat, please. So 2 people that you can invite along to the session who would benefit from these sessions. And whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to go over today's outcomes. So we've got Jocelyn, who will be discussing proactive aging and going over women's health with us. It should be a really interesting topic. Last time we had the session, it was also about women's health, and the focus has been on women's health this month because it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Do comment when we share some information about the session on our social media channels, and the hashtag that you may use is hashtag Working Women Push Boundaries. Just some webinar housekeeping rules. If you can just mute yourself while somebody else is speaking, that would be wonderful. Often we have, especially during live webinars, you get a lot of background noise from people. So if you can just mute yourself and just unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Okay, so now I'm going to hand over to Jocelyn. Just bear with me 1 minute, Jocelyn. And Jocelyn will start her session. So Jocelyn, I will share my screen for you, and whenever you want the slide changing, just if you can just say next, please, that would be great. Okay, over to you, Jocelyn. If you can just unmute yourself, please.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. Today's topic is proactive aging, and menopause is the best time in a woman's life if her hormones are balanced. So I don't know how many people in the group are or have gone through menopause or experiencing perimenopausal symptoms, but today that's part of what we're going to be talking about. Things that we're going to consider for this session: perimenopause and menopause symptoms, how our partners can help, integrative medicine, hormone therapy, various medical screenings that you should have done, nutrition, and exercise. And I do say that this is not, my presentation is not intended or implied to be a substitute for professional medical advice. I'm not a doctor. This is just my personal experience and what I've learned. So any questions that you have, I urge you, be glad to talk to you, but I urge you to seek a medical opinion from a doctor for a diagnosis or treatment, okay? So as long as that's clear. Next, please. Okay, so let's go over some facts about menopause. Menopause, the average age of menopause is 51. But while I was doing research, I found that in various countries, it differs depending on what country that you're from. So an average age range that a woman goes through menopause is 35 to 55. In the United States of America, there are 6,000 women that reach menopause every day. And that equates to over 2 million women yearly, that's just the United States. So if you can multiply those numbers worldwide, that's a lot of women. Of those women, 60% of those women experience symptoms related to menopause. And symptoms can last 5 years or longer. Perimenopausal symptoms sometimes can last up to 10 years. The most common symptoms are mood swings, hot flashes, night sweats, irregular periods, loss of libido, vagina dryness. But there are a ton more menopause symptoms, of which I won't go into that, but I can send you guys information after this is over if you'd like more information on it. One thing that I do have is I attended a medical virtual symposium for bioidentical hormones. And I have an amazing presentation from one of the doctors that it's more medically termed going through the slides, but the information in it is so amazing. And she has written also a book, and I will list that at the end so that if you're interested, you can definitely find her information. Next, please. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is how our partners can help, okay? So our partners can help by being empathetic. If you're experiencing all these different symptoms, and for me, my experience was horrid hot flashes, so and mood swings. So along with those biological changes, your partner may be feeling all different kinds of emotions and not really know how to help you. So be empathetic towards your partner, because they don't know really that menopause brings around a certain loss of childbearing, and it's almost a passage in someone's life that once you go through menopause, things are different. And it's not different directly unless it's surgically induced menopause, but what starts to happen is your body starts to change, and you might not know that even the changing of the way, you know, dry skin and hair falling out and things like that are all part of menopause, but it is. So as long as you can kind of convey that to your partner, the emotional response that you're feeling about going through menopause, that will help your partner understand your perspective and maybe help you get through it. Talk about it. Maybe your partner is uncomfortable discussing menopause, but you guys can try to find ways that you can involve your partner in the transition that you're experiencing. You can talk about remedies for stress relief and ways to sleep better. Begin exercising and cooking together to create more bonding experiences. Maybe you could discuss seeing a doctor to look into various hormonal and non-hormonal treatments that could help your symptoms. You could also encourage your partner to go through the process with you. And this will create this special emotional bond and helps your partner to understand ways that they can help you more fully. Because trust me, ladies, if you've been through it, yes, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, it's an experience, and it's a very empowering experience as well. So not all of it's bad, just so you know. With your partner, keep up the romance and spark. As women, we still want to feel desired, and our partner wants the same. And sometimes during the throes of menopause, you don't necessarily feel like that. So really try to appreciate your partner at this time, even though it might be difficult for us because of the hormones, and try to embrace intimacy as long as you're both comfortable. Create a list of intimate requests, such as a romantic dinner, holding hands on a walk, reading together, having special time at home, something like that. And that can make a big difference in a positive transition for you. And trust me, it's easier when your partner is supportive, because it's not always easy for them. So I encourage you to communicate with your partner all the time. Both of you communicate together. Experiment with your partner. Find things that maybe you haven't done before, where you can experience each other more fully. And also just have patience. Both of you and your partner need to have patience, because again, the transition might take more than just a year. Okay, next please. Okay, so before I go down this road, what I would like to tell you is my partner, Shannon, we were together. We met in 2013. And at the time I was still having my monthly periods. And so shortly after that, I had 11 months without a period. So to reach postmenopause, they say that you have to go through 12 months without a cycle. Okay, so I did. I went through 11 months, and then I had two more cycles after that. So, and I'd been going to the doctor. I lived in Abu Dhabi. I'd gone to the doctor, and she said, "Oh, you have to wait then." And she tested my hormones, and I guess they weren't fully postmenopause yet. And then I went back to her after I stopped having a few more periods, and she did the hormone test again, and she said, "Oh, well, you're finished." But at that time, I was having these really just horrid hot flashes. And seriously, it's worse I've ever could ever have experienced. That's what I think in my mind. And equally, it was as hard for Shannon, because I would wake up 5 times a night. And granted, sometimes he was still back in the United States, and I didn't know why my hot flashes were so bad. But I went to the doctor in Abu Dhabi, and she gave me what looked like birth control pills, and said, just take these three weeks out of the month and then have 7 days off. But I had read about what they were, and I didn't feel like that was a solution for me. But at this time, I did not know that the UAE offered any kind of hormone replacement therapy at all. So I went without anything for, that would have been at least 2 years. And what Shannon did for me is, when he was in California, he met this doctor she was an MD, but she was also an integrative medical practitioner. So this changed my life. We made an appointment for both of us to go and see her, and so she did many different tests to see where my hormones were or where they were not, and what I was missing and what could actually help me. And she took about an hour and a half to talk to me, just one-to-one, figuring out my medical history. So when I talk about an integrative medical practitioner, this is what they do. And this is why you may want to consider one if you're having any problems, perimenopausal symptoms, because they look at the whole, they look at you as a whole instead of just one area, like gastroenterology or OBGYN. It encompasses everything. So what exactly is integrative medicine? It's a combination of evidence-based conventional medicine and alternative medicine. It's treating the whole person, not just the condition or the disease. So with integrative medicine, and consideration is placed on all the influences, the health. So it's biological, behavioral, psychosocial, and environmental. So setting up the foundation for overall health, integrative medicine involves building the groundwork for improved overall health. This approach actively addresses immunity, for example, gut health or inflammatory burden, nutritional status, vitamin deficiencies, or food allergies, hormonal imbalances, as well as environmental toxins, pesticides in food, occupational hazards, etc. Because all of those things can affect the way that we're feeling. And I'll share a link with my doctor. Her name is Dr. Marshall, of what she actually went through. She was a practicing MD at the time, but when she was going through perimenopause and what she was experiencing, this is how she came into integrative medicine. So it's a great story, and I think it's worth sharing eventually with you guys. So it also, integrative medicine works on preventing future health issues before they arrive. So it focuses on preventative medicine. The best way to secure your future health is by gaining a full understanding of your current health status and finding ways to proactively address medical issues before they develop. So what she did for me is put me on, of course, she put me on bioidentical hormones, but she also put me on many different supplements that also help in my overall health. Next, please. Okay, so when we go into hormone therapy, things that we should consider. So as women, we're going to probably perhaps live half our life without a menstrual cycle. So I'm 56 right now, and I went through menopause, I would say, about 4 to 5 years ago, give or take. And so my body has changed so much just since then. And I've been really proactive, and it has helped me have a positive sense of aging and a more positive outlook, and emotionally, and because pro-aging is the way that we should all be. Having a monthly cycle after the age of 55 actually will increase your risk of breast cancer. And this information is taken from Dr. Pamela Smith, the Bioidentical Hormone Symposium that I told you I attended. A hormone response is unique to each person as their own fingerprints. So I want you to think about that for a second. So what is going to work for me is not going to work for you. And so that's why you need to have a really good medical practitioner to look at the whole scope of all of the testing that they can do to make sure that they are putting you on the correct amount of hormones at any time for perimenopause or postmenopausal. Also, hormone replacement should not be considered without a thorough understanding of how the body's hormones interact with each other. So there are two types of hormone therapy. There's just HRT, the general one, and then there's bioidentical hormone therapy. Now, some places, in the United States, bioidentical hormone therapy is not approved by the FDA, but it is because it's compounded, so it's not anything that they can actually test. So there's pro bioidentical hormone people, and there's con bioidentical hormone people. Everybody thinks something different, but the anti-aging integrative medical doctors feel that bioidentical hormone therapy is safe and is better than your traditional hormone therapy. What is bioidentical hormone therapy? Let's see. Okay, bioidentical hormones, in contrast to HRT, are molecules that have the same structure as hormones made by the body, but they're made from plant materials, and then they're synthesized in a lab. And the end result is a molecule is biologically identical to your body's hormones. And some medical doctors feel that this is better. The other, I guess my mom, when she had a hysterectomy at 36, she was taking Premarin forever. And that is a general, it's general hormone therapy prescribed by doctors. And it's made from a urine of a pregnant horse and progestin. So there's a difference between progesterone and progestin. So that's why also you need to be highly aware and really trust your physician when they prescribe something. So just a quote from a medical practitioner, aging medical practitioner, they use both Western and alternative therapies in medical practice. They use also bioidentical hormones because she believes that they are safer and more effective than traditional synthetic or animal-derived hormones. So as you think about estrogen deficiency, when your body is losing estrogen, it's accelerating the aging. Estrogen does so much for your body. I have about 5 or 6 slides with all the positive things that estrogen does for your body. So I can also share those with you later. But I just want you to know that the decrease in estrogen as you go through menopause, this is what is accelerating your aging. So hormone therapy needs to encompass an integrative approach because careful balance of correct hormones is essential to your health and longevity. Sometimes your primary care physician may not spend the time to take a comprehensive look at the why things are happening. Therefore, that's why I suggest finding an integrative medical practitioner that takes a deeper dive physically, emotionally, and mentally. And I would also encourage you for that integrative medical practitioner to also have a medical degree. So they're not only looking at it from a therapy kind of perspective, but they have the medical background to see both ends of the spectrum there. Research, be proactive. It's up to you, broader understanding of hormones, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, cortisol, melatonin, and how they all work together to help you lead a more balanced life. Make sure you check with your physician before you even start any kind of supplement or hormone therapy that you might be able to buy off Amazon. Anything like that, I still would encourage you to talk to your doctor before you do anything like that. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so medical screenings. Beyond the basic blood screenings that you need to have when you would see your integrative medical doctor, I've compiled a brief list. Some are included in the basic blood screen, but that are especially important to women as we age. Also, you need to check your family history to know if you have already a genetic predisposition to have, such as high blood pressure and things like that. So the hormone panel test, your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. Of course, you have to have your thyroid tested, but there is the TSH and then the FT4, but there's also a free T3 that needs to be tested. Your cholesterol also needs to be tested. Genetically, I'm predisposed to have really high cholesterol. No matter what I do, it still is high. And so I have to be still very, very careful with what I eat. B12, if you're low in B12, it could be maybe you feel sluggish and you're not thinking as good as you're stressed, and your body's feeling stressed. So that's also a reason for concern. And ladies, vitamin D deficiency. As we live here in, I know some of you don't live in Abu Dhabi, but vitamin D deficiency it's huge, and it can cause a faster degeneration of the brain, Alzheimer's, dementia. Medical practitioners suggest 10,000 milligrams a day, and that's normal. That's why I've been told, and that's what I've read online, but physicians just still prescribe different ones. But you should take vitamin D3 with K2, because the K2 helps process the D3 better inside your body. So that's one thing that is good to know. Suggested health screenings, bone density for sure, colonoscopy, especially if you have a history in your family, mammogram once a year, but also not only a mammogram, they also suggest the ultrasound that for your, it's different than mammogram, it's more ultrasound, so it can get into the tissues and kind of see more, so you don't miss something by the mammogram. Pap smear and pelvic exam, blood pressure, blood sugar, and a hepatitis C test. Just a really cool thing that happened to me Thursday afternoon. I had made an appointment to see OB-GYN in Dubai at the American Hospital. And the only one that could see me was a male doctor. And I've had male doctors before, so that didn't bother me. And I have been off my hormones. When I was in the United States, I was having pellet therapy, which is BioT pellet. And I would have those injections in my hip every 3 to 4 months, which delivered estrogen and testosterone. And since I had it in January and I was here and I was not able to return back to the United States, I had not had hormones. And so it dissipates after a while, and I could tell I was having tiny bits of hot flashes, and my mood swings were just a little bit not as, I had a little bit of mood swings going on there. And so I was delighted to see this doctor, and I had no idea. I just thought I was going for a pelvic exam. And he said, how are your hormones? And I did have some of the cream with estrogen and E2, which is estrogen 2. There are 4 different estrogens. You don't stay away from number 1 estrogen. Number 2 and number 3 really good for you. So I had that and testosterone cream, and I was just about out. And so he was very knowledgeable about all of the hormones and the way they work together. He is a U.S. physician. He's been in Dubai, I think, for 8 years now. And so I would definitely send you his information if you felt like that is something that you needed to talk to someone about, because he has a really great knowledge of hormones and the way they work together. Next screen, please. Okay, so one thing that Dr. Marshall, my doctor in San Diego, did for me is the first thing, these are some things that she right off when I first saw her. We had, Shannon also had his genomes tested as well. The function of the genome inside is just, it looks at your body's functions and your body's processes. And because our genes determine how our body uses certain nutrients, and not everyone metabolizes nutrients in the same way. So through thorough gene testing, and this is of course up to you, some people choose not to do this because of the DNA, and once a company has your DNA, you don't know where that could go. But anyway, through gene testing, you can learn your individual genetic profile, including whether you carry genes that are linked to inflammation, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, celiac disease, and obesity. And your integrated medical practitioner can provide additional supplement support from this as well. So once Dr. Marshall received my results from the genome testing, she made some recommendations as supplements that I should take, as well as Shannon, to help the body processing certain things. Also, she gave me 2 recommendations on diets. And I don't know if it's so much of a diet as it's just a way of eating. So just something for you guys to consider. Or take bits and pieces of it. Not everything is probably good all the time, but if you can take bits and pieces of it, then that makes it better. So food combining, which is different foods digest at different rates in the body. And we require different digestive environments. So therefore, foods need to be eaten in groups and at specific times that complement these factors. This can help us become more mindful when selecting and eating our food, and help make us more aware that foods disturb our digestive process. It's worth researching, especially if you have issues with digestion, heartburn, bloating, and gas. And the next thing is the FODMAP. And I'll spare you the long name, but what exactly this is they're called short chain carbs, short chain carbohydrates. And they're resistant to digestion. So instead of being absorbed into your bloodstream, they reach the far end of your intestines, where most of your gut bacteria reside. So your gut bacteria uses these carbs for fuel, producing hydrogen gas and causing digestive symptoms to sensitive individuals. So for me, I'm very sensitive to cruciferous vegetables, cauliflower, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. And that's just one thing I don't eat, because even if I have one bite, it disturbs my digestion. So you might have things like this in your diet that you know that you don't eat. But if you're wondering why you're always bloated after a certain food, then that's probably why. And remember, check with your physician before you begin any diet or change your eating in any way to make sure that you're doing what's good for your body. Next screen, please. Okay, we're going to briefly talk about guys. Strength training for 40 to 60 years old is amazing. Women, we lose muscle mass as we age, and especially after we go through menopause, it's like we're losing it at a more accelerated rate. So please start doing some weight building or bodybuilding. Doesn't have to be a lot. I have my dumbbells. I have 16 pound or 7.5 kg dumbbells that I keep in my room, because I really don't like to exercise in the gym. And I have some workout programs that I do that just keep my heart rate above, I guess about 125 beats per minute or something, 140. So that way I can make sure that I'm exercising for a good period of time and I get my heart rate up. And then what that does, it actually helps you burn more calories throughout the day. So don't worry about becoming bulky unless that's your goal, because you can certainly build more muscle if you want. It decreases body fat. So it helps when you build your muscle, it helps burn more calories. Therefore, you're decreasing your fat. It improves your mental health. It lessens depression and increases self-efficacy. And it lowers the risk of chronic disease such as arthritis, osteoporosis, diabetes, obesity, back pain, etc. Cardiovascular things that you can do: walking, running, hiking, cycling, kayaking, paddleboarding, tennis, rowing. You know, there's so many things to do around this area, and I'm sure the area that you live in too. So, and you may already be doing things. Recommendations: if you're not in an exercise program, start slow and gain momentum as you become more fit. You will see gains if you're consistent and vary your workout routine. The American Heart Association recommends that you exercise within 50 to 85% of your maximum heart rate for at least 20 to 30 minutes to get the best results from your aerobic exercise. And again, please check with your physician before you start exercising. Next screen, please. Okay, there is one thing I wanted to let you guys know, is on the nutrition part. How many of you take probiotics? If you can just thumbs up. Okay. Did you know that there are 3 probiotics that work in our women's vagina area that helps create that I guess a good climate, so you're not yeast, and it helps you have better vagina health. Do you know that? Okay, so I'm going, let me find it, let's see. Okay, what I'll do is I will put that, I'm going to send you some documents where you can have further study on the things that I'm talking about, and I would be glad to in there, so, or even in the chat box, so you can know, because I buy it on Amazon. In the States, it's easy, it's more easy to buy. Here, I could only find one that was available, but it's also included with other probiotics, so I take that every day, and I haven't had a yeast infection. I used to get yeast infections all the time after I finished postmenopausal, and now by taking the 3 strains of the probiotic, I don't have yeast infections any longer. So, in conclusion, life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in an attractive and well-preserved body, but rather we should slide in sideways, our body thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and screaming, woohoo, what a ride. Because ladies, as we know, aging is not fun, but it can be invigorating, and all just depends on the way we look at it and our perspective. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is Shannon, and we have a website called 15co.com. My Instagram is 15co, and Shannon's is Shannon John Joseph. And if you want to join in the adventures, you can use our hashtags as well. We'd love for you to post on the hashtags, and I would love to see what you're doing as you're living your life more adventurously, because as we age, it's good to be adventurous and try new things and meet new people. So thank you for this time, and I will be glad to answer any questions and send you the follow-up documents so that it will help you do more research for yourself.
Wow, that was amazing. Jocelyn, thank you so much. I'm just going to bring everyone together. Absolutely amazing. Really, really thorough, lots of information. I have questions, but I'm going to put it out to everyone. I know Amelia's joined us, Patricia, Hosseina, Gizlan, Pranisha, welcome to the session. I'm going to hand over to Laura. So Laura, do you want to take us through the questions that everyone has?
Yeah, there were quite a few coming through on the chat. I seem to see some things, and I'm not on the chat at the minute. So I think while you were talking, Jocelyn, there were some talks about HRT. You know, Mandy said, is it a must do or whatever? And I think some of the things about the probiotics, etc., I think are really important. So if anyone's got a specific question around, if I might just share very quickly, if you don't mind, that I actually, I didn't have a choice. I had a situation where I had to have an urgent hysterectomy a few years ago. So I didn't, you know, I kind of was thrown into it. But obviously because of my accident and bone density and everything else, I here in Dubai take bioidentical hormones, which why I particularly like the Mandy is because when you take HRT, as far as I understand it, it's a standard dose, just like, you know, that everyone takes. But it means that they shoot in an awful lot in one go, and that can ultimately, in the longer term, can have health implications that are not good, so in promoting cancers or just, you know, it's a big dose and then it kind of dissipates out. Whereas a nice thing with bioidentical hormones is that I have a blood test every 3 months. And then they redesign what I need to take, and some of it's a cream, some of it's different things, and some days I remember and other days I forget and think, oh my God. And I can tell, as you say, because the hot flushes come back, I think, damn, where's all my stuff? So that's just one little thing. But I am interested, my question is to ask Jocelyn a bit more about the around the supplement thing, because I struggle, but I've always struggled a little bit with gut things, but since this time, I'm struggling more. I've just had my gallbladder removed, and I'm interested to understand more about the food combining and some of the supplements that we can take. So that's something I would like to ask about. Please, anybody else who's got the questions. Mandy, did you want to ask something specifically about the HRT?
It was just basically to say, I think what Jocelyn had said about her mom was taking HRT as well. My mom she had to have an emergency hysterectomy just after the birth of my brother. So she was 23, 24, something like that. So she was really young, and the doctors in South Africa, they just automatically just put her straight onto HRT. And she suffered so much through the years of taking those. And eventually she got to the stage where she just said, forget it. I don't need this in my life. My body needs to learn to handle this, whatever's happening, the changes that are happening in my body. And I think since talking with my mom about it, it's kind of made me more aware. I mean, I'm going through the hot flashes and all the rest of that at the moment myself. Not as much as I was in the beginning, thank goodness. Alan gets really frustrated about it, but it's one of those things that sort of happens to a woman's body. And I think if they can learn to understand it, that's the main thing. But since I heard my mom talking about the HRT stuff, I've kind of said to myself, I'm not going to take them. My body needs to learn to handle it. Also, I am quite heavy into the exercise. I do a lot of weight training. I'm now at the gym more regularly again, now that one's opened up near us. Eat healthy. I'm on a nutrition plan and all the rest of that. And I think my body is handling it pretty well. But I do like what you say, Jocelyn, is that, you know, we need to go and get checked out anyway. And it was good that Shannon went with you, and maybe I can try and convince Alan to do the same thing.
Yes, definitely. Shannon was, he was putting up with me. I was just a witch. I was so mean to him. I look back and I think, who was that? I'm so glad he did that for me. And yeah, I prefer the bioidentical hormones, but every woman has to choose their own path. What works for me might not work for you, Mandy. So, you know, nutrition can do a lot for your menopause journey, and also help if you're taking anything like melatonin. Any over-the-counter supplements also help. So,
thanks.
So, Laura, you wanted to know about the supplements that I take?
Well, I think I was interested. I think you were saying about the probiotics, which is something that you know, I've just noticed in the chat. I've made a note of, and also you know, about this whole thing, because I think, you know, as females, you know, I do, you know, obviously I had, with my big accident, you know, I was limited on something. So with all the metal work I've got in me, I can't afford to lose bone density. So I have to have supplements to help keep things in place. But I don't know, because we all suffer with different things, right? So it's how does it affect you? You were saying about the yeast infections and things. I definitely struggle with food things I've noticed it more as time has gone on. And I think as females, we're always trying to balance healthy eating, but I eat healthy, but then sometimes I think Amelia is vegan, aren't you, Amelia? So everyone's trying to find their own system of what works, because we're all finding that as we get older, we can't perhaps manage things in the same way that we used to be able to digest and do without feeling that we're bloating out or you know, or putting on weight when we didn't, even though we're trying to be healthy. So understanding a bit more about that would be lovely.
Okay, well, what I want to do is I want to put in the box Dr. Pamela Smith. I want to put in her presentation. I mentioned that earlier in the meeting with you guys, because it gives you all the menopausal symptoms. It gives you all the benefits of estrogen. It will help you understand hormone therapy in a way that what hormone therapy is good and what is not good. And there's not an explanation to it, because it's just the meeting presentation slides, but it might help you understand a little bit more about what's going on with your body and be more proactive when you go and see your doctor. So I'll drop that in just a minute.
Anybody else have any questions on this?
I have some questions actually that I'm going to put to Jocelyn. When should we start to think about these things and preparing? Because it's, hopefully I'm a few years away from that yet. But it's a concern. But at what age should we start to think and start looking into these things? Recently, I've heard a lot about, HRT. It's often more, I feel like I hear more guys taking it than women when
Usually
it comes to
guys
weight
are
training.
Testosterone.
Yeah.
But
So-
testosterone is good for women too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I take that too. I think they balance it all out, but you're quite right. It's the balance, isn't it?
I would say around age 35, but you guys know your body. So that was the lower end of what I found when I was researching. I think generally, my sister, she's 12 years younger than me, and she started having perimenopausal symptoms a few years ago, where I never had any perimenopausal symptoms that I can remember. I mean, I had heavy bleeding. I had fibroid tumors in my uterus. I had 2 ablations to help get rid of that. So I had a cyst on my ovary that had to be removed, but they didn't take my ovaries, which was good. So I went through menopause naturally. So I would just listen to your body, and then you'll begin, when something doesn't feel quite right, then something's probably happening, and it could just be hormonal. One thing I didn't mention that I wanted to say is about the pelvic floor. Do you guys, are you familiar with the pelvic floor? Yeah. That's a really good Kegel exercises, but not only that, having a strong pelvic floor, if you can practice just contracting your abs all the time, just that will be something that helps. When you sit, make sure your posture is correct, that you're sitting correctly in your chair. A good pelvic floor, a good strong pelvic floor helps with childbirth and recovery after you have your children, but also it helps women as we go through menopause, and our vagina area, our uterus, everything may prolapse down there. So if we have a strong pelvic floor, then that will keep our pelvic area stronger, so that we don't have to go to the doctor and have it reconstructed or aided by some medical operation.
If I may just say, I see that in the chat, sorry, I need my glasses to see them. I can't see where, there we go. I see that Hussein is saying that she walks all day during work. Is walking a good exercise? Yes, I think so. Especially if you can't run, if you can't do anything because maybe your knees are hurt. Walking's great. When I was walking 10 kilometers every morning, and then it was more like I was running. The thing was, it wasn't getting my heart rate up. So the difference is walking is great, and you may even lose some weight walking, but the most important thing is cardiovascular health. So if you could do something that would increase your heart rate. However, if walking does increase your heart rate, then that's a good thing. I still walk, but what I am doing now for my heart health is I walk on the treadmill at an incline. So at 6 or 7, and I only walk 3 kilometers now. But I feel like I'm getting more out of that 3 kilometers than I was getting out of the 10 kilometers that I was walking around the stadium. And so for me, that worked better. Also the elliptical machine, if you could do elliptical machine, that would help. If you had that available to you, that would help get your heart rate up as well.
I have another question for you, Jocelyn. So now we're hearing that 50 is the new 30, and there's celebrities that, such as J-Lo, for instance, they have a huge impact on social media and the way people perceive themselves. What can women do to kind of, get out of this cycle of looking towards celebrities, and do celebrities go through this type of thing? Because we don't hear about that. We see them looking great in their 50s, but we don't hear of any struggles. We don't hear that they're actually going through these challenges.
Right. Well, I have a private Facebook group, and there's not a lot of women in it. There's about 100 women. But a couple of years ago, I came across this article. This woman used to be the beauty director for Oprah. And now I think she's 65 or 68. But she wrote this article about almost feeling invisible. And with her status, you would think, oh, you know, wow, she's got this great job. Why would she feel this way? But she started feeling that she was less of a woman. Her journey through menopause made her really sad, especially the industry that she is. But she wants to age naturally. She might get Botox or might do a few dermal fillers, but she's not ever going under the knife to have plastic surgery. So I think it's more of a self-reflection on us and how that we can know that we are important without on the inside instead of just what we see on the outside. Because if we can have a really positive attitude about what we're doing, if we can read more, enjoy life, choose things that make us happy intrinsically, that instead of outward looking at, you know, oh, she looks so pretty, what's she doing? Or you know, does she have plastic surgery? Or, you know, is she getting her, you know, because what happens in menopause a lot of times, not to every woman, but I had about 15 pounds that I just couldn't lose. I mean, they're just stuck. And it just stuck to me, and come to find out it was all hormone related. Once Dr. Marshall got my hormones regulated, I dropped the 15 pounds within probably 6 months, and I didn't change anything that I was doing. So, and I was sad that I gained the weight, and I was sad that I couldn't get it off, but I was doing CrossFit, I was doing things that I could do to help lose the weight. But I've always been personally, I've always wanted to do things to make myself look better. I have Botox, sometimes I get dermal fillers, but other than that, I try to keep it pretty much, I really don't want to have plastic surgery. And I think about me and why I'm that way. I think I'm more of a perfectionist. And I look at my mom. My mom passed away when she was 68. She had Alzheimer's, and she was a beautiful woman. And when I go back to my memories and I look at her and I remember her aging, in my mind, she was always beautiful. I never thought, oh, she's getting older, or she looks different, because I saw the person she was on the inside. And so I think that's what we have to think about ourselves, is as we age, our bodies, it's going to happen. Our bodies are going to age. We're going to show signs of aging, but we need to remember the person that we are on the inside, and that's what we have to give. And we're more wise the older we get. Trust me, we are much more wise than we were when we were 20.
Yeah.
Also,
Pranisha's got a
Zen.
hand up. Yes, yes.
I was just going to follow up on your celebrity status thing. They've also got a team of people behind them making sure that they look perfect all the time.
Yeah, yeah. There is that as well. That's what we need. We need to come to you, Mandy, and get our makeup done. That's what it is.
You know where I am.
I think
posting on Insta.
I think it's really important, though, you know, because I am, you know, I'm probably older than I hopefully look. And I have to say that the one thing about getting older is that you don't have to, you know, people then assume that you don't have to look really, really old. I think nowadays, I mean, I do a lot of healthy skincare and everything anyway. So, and luckily, you know, I don't wrinkle easy. So that is a great help. But I mean, you know, I think it's really important, though, to feel good, because I never had, I don't know, some of you may have, if you've gone through it, experienced kind of, you know, the sort of the feeling less of a woman thing. Well, I didn't get the choice. And quite honestly, with all I was coping with operations for my accident, I really didn't think about it. But it is still nice. You can still feel very beautiful. You can still make your hair look lovely, go to the gym, eat healthy. And, you know, I'm now thinking about this Botox thing now, thank you. And there's a lot of things that one can do without having to go mad. So you can kind of embrace getting older, but still look good with it. And I think that's what's really important. I mean, I'm not one of those that think, let's get old and look it. I don't want to, but neither do I want to look like some of these celebrities who are in their 50s trying to pass off 28. I might pretend in my head I'm 28, but the reality is, to try and look like that, I think, my opinion is they look a bit daft. But I think getting the health right is really, really important, because I think ultimately, you know, we're all living longer and longer these days, unless we get something dreadful, you know, like a cancer that we can't manage, or an illness. But so the thing is how do we promote that wellness for as long as possible, really, isn't it? So what about anybody else? Anyone have anything they'd like to ask?
Pranisha's got a hand up. Pranisha, over to you.
Hi, morning everyone. I think I like second the whole thing about aging, because I still feel like a kid most days, and yet like my body tells me otherwise, suffering with back issues and everything. And I think it's only once we start feeling it do we realize, you know, that age has caught up with us. But I think that the one thing I've struggled most with, and I'm so glad Jocelyn brought up the vitamin D, because I mean, I come from South Africa where there's plenty of sunshine and we get it a lot, and yet I was still vitamin D deficient, and I didn't realize the effects of it. You know, all of the backlash of having a vitamin D deficiency, and I can actually, like I'm saying, I feel it in my body without realizing I was deficient. And I think what I've struggled the most with is, you know, coming from like I'm saying, being youthful and not realizing that you need to actually start not pumping, but taking vitamins just for the later in life when you need to help your body. So I'm at that age where I still haven't taken any vitamins, and it's because I'm not sure what to take. It's just that there's so much out there, and everybody will tell you need to be taking A, B, and C, where you know, it's not necessary. So I think I want to ask Justin and anybody out there if they can advise what we should be taking. So apart from vitamin D, which is actually really important, any other vitamins that we should be taking to help us in the long run, you know, for the betterment of our bodies?
Well, personally, I take a good vitamin. I think it's Women's Wellness over 50. And then I take vitamin D, D3, 10,000 milligrams, vitamin D3 with K2. And the K2 helps process the vitamin D3. Also, turmeric, resveratrol. I have a whole tray of supplements that I take every day. And let's see. Fish oil.
Okay, for sure.
Let's see. What else? Hold on.
So while Joyce is getting her vitamins, we've just had Farah joined us. Farah, welcome to the session. We're just discussing women's health, and we've just been Jocelyn's just been talking about menopause and how it affects us all. What I want to know is, Jocelyn mentioned about partners and getting your partner on board to support. It's a difficult conversation to have. As women, we're nervous about it. What's the best way to approach this topic with your partner, with your husband?
Well, I wanted to stay very conservative because I realized I didn't really want to talk about sex directly, but I think at some point in time that subject has to be broached with your partner, because things change and your body is changing, and the best way to talk about that would probably visit a doctor or buy a book and go through the book together. I'm not really sure what books are out there, but that would actually get the conversation started. If your partner knew what was going through your body and how your body was changing, because for me personally, my libido was non-existent. My vagina became dry, and I didn't know that was going to happen to me. And the hormone therapy that I was taking was not doing anything further. It was not increasing my libido. And this was the cream that Dr. Marshall had given me, nor was it making my vagina more moist again, like it was before menopause. And my body didn't have the same response when I was engaging in a sexual activity. You know, I guess, what do you call when you're aroused, my body didn't have the same response. And so that was hard for me to talk with Shannon about. It was difficult. It was hard for our relationship. And so we tried different types of hormone therapy. And finally, the pellet therapy is the therapy that worked for me. But I think the most important part, Shannon was so nice through this time. We came up with different things that would make it more easy to talk about and more fun to be intimate together. And that was very special as well. And he was involved, just as involved as I was in wanting to make our bond more special during that time and to work through that time, because I think it was 2 to 3 years that we had difficulty in the intimate area. So.
Okay, thank you. Ghislain's got a hand up, and then Laura.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Zen. Joyce, I had actually a question regarding the point that you mentioned for the hormones. So did you have them checked with the gynecologist, or you went to an endocrino, meaning, because I myself struggle always with hormone. I have an issue with my thyroid. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that I must have something else that is always, stopping me from losing my weight, even though I'm eating healthy and doing sport and everything. And the scale keeps on stacking on the same number. So I would like to know which doctor you went to, and also about the food combination. You mentioned at the beginning in your slide. If you could please elaborate on this subject.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks.
So the first doctor I went to was in Dubai. His name is Dr. Mark Jakowski. He is a US certified doctor. He's an endocrinologist. And so he prescribed the hormones first for me. But then because I wasn't on insurance at that time, then I needed to get the medical exam. So I followed up. I was getting the pelvic exam with Dr. Bergoni at the American Hospital. I'll put his name in there for you as well. And he is a board certified MD plastic surgeon. He worked a long time in Florida and was well versed on hormone therapy. And he even asked me, he said, "So are you on hormones? And what are you taking?" And so I brought up my prescription from Dr. Mark. And so, I was just delighted. I could not believe this was happening to me Thursday afternoon, because I was almost out of my hormones. And he prescribed for me a cream that are mixed together. So I have testosterone, I have estrogen too, I have progesterone, and I also have DHEA. And it goes it's all in the same cream, and it's compounded to this, the dosage that I need. So I really feel like he has a very good idea on hormone therapy, because I will go back in 4 weeks and then he'll test my hormones and see how I'm doing to see if that's the correct balance that I should be taking for my body. So I would love to pass on the information. And as far as the food combining and the diet, I have put in the chat box, you'll see, I have put two of these pamphlets in there, so you can look and see about the food combining. I don't know a whole lot about it. I do try to not combine my foods. I'm very kind of eat my food separately. And I actually did that before I ever heard of food combining. So I really don't eat fruit. I hardly ever eat fruit because I realize that has a lot of sugar. And I try not to eat a lot of carbs. Those are my two. I don't drink sodas. I don't eat a lot of carbs, any at all. If you do, but there are some really good carbs listed on those sheets for you, and and then the ones not to eat. So that will give you a really good base to start looking at what you actually eat and how that can affect you. Did I answer your question? Okay.
Thank
Laura,
you.
over
Thanks.
to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that just another thing. I know we're talking about involving our partners and things. I'm very open with my husband. He doesn't get the girl thing very much anyway. He tries, but hey ho. But the point being, actually, is as much as we're talking about us as girls going through this, I think our partners have their own male variation of this as well. I don't know if any of you are in a situation where you've seen your partners sort of being different and perhaps a bit grumpier and, you know, and not having, you know, the same, you know, going through similar types of things, but in a slightly different way. And I think we also need to be aware of that side of it, as well as, you know, what we're going through a bit, because I think we women probably, I think because girls generally are, we're probably a little bit more in tune with our bodies and we talk about it more, and guys don't. Well, I don't think so much. So I think that's something we need to be aware of, because, you know, for those of us who've been married, I've been married nearly 30 years. And I have to say, if I want to stay married another 30, you know, I have to try and be all understanding, because, you know, when boys have something, it's far worse than anything we could ever get. That's one thing I've realized in life. So I don't know if anyone else has noticed that and what difference it makes.
Yeah. And how can you support your partner as well? Because that was another thing, like when men get man flu, you know, it's really difficult. I'm not the most sympathetic person, unfortunately. And I'm just like, if I get ill, I'm just like, okay, up out of bed after a day, get things done. And man flu lasts a very long time. So how can we support our partners? How can we be empathetic and sympathetic when we might be going through this ourselves? Joyce?
Well,
help.
Okay, let me address first. I mentioned that Shannon went with me to see Dr. Marshall, and he found out that his body was converting testosterone into estradiol. So she had to put him on a special medication to, you know, kind of prevent that from happening. So, and it, I guess, was having to do with, he was drinking beer, but he never really drank that much beer, but whatever beer he was drinking, it was doing that to him. So that was kind of disturbing in a way. And then he also, his body doesn't process the B6, B12, B6 vitamins very well. So that can add extra stress on his body, and it might even make him produce more cortisol because his body is stressing more. So those were good things to learn as far as, you know, him feeling better. But Zen, I agree, it's hard to take care of men. And one thing that's happening is Shannon has a vertebra issue with his lower back lumbar 4 and 5. And so he's been in pain for like 6 months. And I mean, he still can walk and he still can pretty much do some exercise, but it's just making sure that I'm consciously very, you know, emotionally giving to him, and I don't try to pull everything out of him, that I do things for him and I'm patient for him. And I drive the car a lot because sitting in the car, you know, helps him. So I think it would be the little things that you could do, because I think pretty much everything is temporary. And so if it's temporary, then we can say, okay, for this amount of time or a week or two, maybe he's going to feel bad, so I'm going to give to him. But in turn, if you start giving to your partner, then hopefully they'll give back to you, and then that circle will keep going. Yeah, because I think if you're nice to someone, hopefully that comes back for you.
Yeah, definitely. Wonderful. Wow, so we've got Laura's just mentioned in there that insurance pays for some, but they get difficult with hormone treatment. Right. Because a lot of us who have private medical insurance, definitely I think here, it would be good to find out whether our insurance covers this as well. Okay.
Well, I can actually let you know, because I will pick up my prescription, I guess, or they'll deliver it to me on Tuesday. I have to file it with my insurance. My insurance is Damon, but I know they're covering the pelvic exam and the mammogram. Of course, those are just screenings. So, and if you have a family history of you know, fibrocystic breast tumors or any kind of anything in your pelvic area, pre-existing conditions, or maybe you had a cyst on your ovary, any type of thing like that will help get you the medical screenings that you need. And hopefully your insurance will cover that. As far as the hormone blood test, I'm not really sure. I haven't had those here yet. In the United States, I didn't have insurance, so I paid everything out of pocket. But in the United States, it's a nice thing that the doctors actually have agreement with some of the labs like LabCorp or Quest. And so the doctor has an agreement. So you pay maybe $60 US and you can get an entire panel that would cost $2,000 USD. So, but that just depends on your doctor and their agreement. I don't know if the UAE has that, or wherever you live, if that is something that your country has.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, any more questions? We've got anemia. I think Hussein has mentioned anemia, and if anemia impacts menopause.
Yes. From what I just recently read is, are you taking an iron supplement?
No, I'm not taking any iron tablet, but normally my anemia is usually it's in the level of 9 to 10. It goes up and down. Yeah.
And that's fairly low, right? Because normally it should be 14, 15.
Yeah.
Am I right?
I've never got 14. Even
Yeah, I would.
It hasn't gone to 14.
Okay. I would definitely talk to your doctor, read online and see what it normally should be, and get a screening if you can, because iron tablets are easily available over the counter, but also if you could choose foods that are good in iron, I think spinach, leafy green vegetables are really good for iron. So that would be something that you could supplement with as well. Because if you're taking the supplement, iron supplements tend to make you constipated. So you would need to kind of do something with your diet to offset that constipation.
Yeah.
I have one more question. Just a minute, I'll close that.
Okay, while Hussein is bringing her question back to us. Hussein, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
My question is it genetic? Like my mom did have, alhamdulillah, any difficulty. So will I also like have a, like a proper menopause with no negative effects?
So your mother, she didn't have any problem?
No, she didn't have any problem. She just had bleeding and she rested for like 1 or 2 days and that's it.
Okay. Well, genetically, if that's happened to your mom, that genetically you should have maybe an easy time with going through your menopause journey. I know that I didn't have my mom to compare to because she had a hysterectomy at 36. And so it was just me. And so I guess I went through it. The average age is around 50 to 51 for women. And it's 12 months without a period. It just depends on your genetics, and if your mom went through it, I would say you probably have a good possibility of not having a hard time. So,
yeah. Wow, well, it's been an amazing session. We've learned lots, and thank you, Jocelyn. We really appreciate you sharing your expertise, and yeah, I think a round of applause for Jocelyn. Thank you. It's been really informative, and we've had so many questions, and I think the questions will keep coming. So for those who are on the WhatsApp group, if you want to reach out to Jocelyn, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. She is on our WhatsApp group, and if you're happy to share your questions on the group, feel free to share today. We will be sending out the recording of the video, so if you want to watch any of the information back, we'll send that over to you. Just to let you know, the next session of Pushing the Boundaries is on creating balance, and that will be delivered by Laura. I'm just going to post a registration link for you all so you have it to hand. Feel free to register for that. I'll just do a quick screen share. Over to you, Laura. Oops, you're on mute.
Sorry, just a reminder that my key area to help people is to be able to adapt and thrive to manage scenarios as they are at the moment. So whether you're struggling with confidence, decision making, or just generally trying to manage in this environment that we're in, that's what I do. I'm a strengths-based coach. So we look at where you're good and how you can be even better. So if anyone needs to follow up, please do get in touch with me. And yeah, so that's for me. Let me pass you back to Zen.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, so as always, I'm here to help. Me and Laura, we're always happy to help and support our community. In addition to the support that I offer, if you're looking to upskill, if you're looking to enhance your CV, there are certain qualifications that you need to undertake your work. Please reach out. We have a range of online qualifications and training that you can take flexibly and at your own pace and time. Here are some of the courses that we offer. So do reach out, and here are our contact details. Feel free to contact us whenever you wish, and we're available by WhatsApp as well. And yeah, so we're happy to help. These are our social media handles. Please comment on our social media. We do post links where we talk about the sessions. We would love to have your feedback on how we can improve the sessions, how we can make them more engaging, what topics you're interested in, and also share it with your friends. We're looking to grow our community, so please share the registration links, share the information with your friends, and you're the best promoters of these sessions. So we want you to actually reach out to your network and to your colleagues and share the information and how it can add value to your network. So as I said, the next session will be delivered by Laura, and it's on overcoming challenges.
Balance.
Oh, sorry, balance. That's balance.
It's well-being and balance. Yeah, it's just
well-being and balance. Sorry, that's
balance.
Me. That's me.
It's probably overcoming those challenges in that anyway.
Yes, yes. So thank you for joining us today. I'm just going to stop the recording of this session. And like I said, it will be shared with you, the information from this session and on the future sessions as well.